Hey, it's Kayn. In this video, I'm going to show you how to play the Simulacrum game mode. Note that this is more of a tip video and not a golden rule to play in this game mode, because this game is very context based. Even in this game mode, that is way different compared to the actual game. You most likely played the game a lot differently than I do. So with that said, let's get on to the main course. So what is Simulacrum? Simulacrum is an arena-based and infinitely scaling wave-based game mode. The main goal is to survive as long as you can. Upon entering the game, you will spawn next to the assessment focus. Activating the assessment focus initiates the game mode and starts a wave. Every 5th wave of the stage, the assessment focus will move to a new location and you have to follow it. On the 10th wave of a stage, a portal will spawn and send you to the next stage. The stage order is completely randomized and there are 7 stages in total. These stages are the ones you find in the game normally, but they will change from their normal counterparts. Upon completing a wave, a void potential drops for each player, and there is a 10-second grace period before the next wave starts. The void potential, when interacted with, contains 3 randomly selected items, and you only can choose one. Each orb does have a set rarity tier, but unlike void fields, you can get a green, a red, or hell, even a boss item from a white orb. And on screen, there are the odds for the type of items you can get from a white orb. Every 5 waves you complete, you will instead be rewarded with a green orb. The green orbs can range from having green, red, or boss items. And on screen, there are the odds for the type of items you can get from a green orb. There are also red orbs that give legendary and boss items, purple orbs that only give void items, and blue orbs that only give lunar items. Interactables do spawn in the Simulacrum. If you do not know what interactables are, they are basically things like chests, shrines, barrels, printers, etc. They are basically anything you can press the interact button on. The catch is that interactables may be out in the void fog. And in this game mode, the void fog is extremely strong. The void fog does ramping damage based on your maximum health, meaning that regardless on how much health you have, you will die at just around the same time as you would with any character, which is about 10 to 12 seconds without healing. Along with that, you will also have augments that will spawn occasionally as soon as the round starts. These augments can range from turning on an artifact for one round to spawning mythics. Also, like void fields, enemies do get items as the run continues, and they have the same pattern as void fields, which is 2 commons, 2 rares, then a legendary. But they get an item every 10 waves and they only get 1 instead of multiple stacks of a certain item. So you might be saying, this is crazy and all, but how do I play the Simulacrum? The thing about Simulacrum that makes it difficult to some players is how the enemies scale. They are way tankier, they do more damage, and grant less gold than normal. This does mean early game can suck in some circumstances. Not to mention that every 5th wave will be a boss wave, thus making them harder to kill. Also, you have very limited space to kite or to retreat, as going outside the zone makes you vulnerable to the void fog. It is also important to mention that enemies will be affected by the void fog in this game mode as well, so use this to your advantage. This can be done by kiting them into the fog, knocking them back to the fog, i.e. Rex's shift, or waiting a certain period amount of time for the focus to falter. These strats, while risky in their own way, will provide a great clear tool for any enemies that are hiding or that are too tanky for you to deal with. Now, these strats can only get you so far, so you will need items to survive. Now, of course, each item is valuable in their own context. However, I recommend to focus on items that will make you survive longer in the void fog, particularly healing and movement speed items. This is because these items can help you get interactables that are in the fog that are normally impossible to reach without dying. But of course, get your typical damage items as well. Now, particular items I recommend are War Pennies, Brittle Crown, Null's Tome, Yepton Daisy, and Razor Wire. Like I mentioned, gold is hard to come by in this game mode. Sure, later on this becomes less of an issue, but early on it is inconvenient to wait for about 3 to even 5 stages just to get a regular chest you want. With these 3 items, especially roll of pennies, it makes buying stuff way easier. While I'm not a big fan of this item in general, Lepton Daisy can help out a bit if you're lacking in healing, since it does proc in the Simulacrum. Now with better healing items, this item does become irrelevant to an extent, but it is still a very convenient item to have in this game mode. Razor Wire is an amazing item for this game mode. Since A, going outside the fog will proc the Razor Wire, and B, its range also helps out against nearby enemies, and since you're always close to enemies in the game mode, it deals extra damage or even procs items for you, albeit at a 0.5 proc coefficient. And with a Hellfire Tincture, this item gets exponentially better. Before I go on to the survivors, one thing to mention is that they're all blacklisted items in this game mode, that being Bundle of Fireworks, Squid Polyp, Focus Convergence, Beads Affinity, Spare Drone Pods, and Hurricane Seed. Moving on from items, you might be wondering what characters I recommend for this game mode. Well, any will do of course, but I like playing Captain, NG, Huntress, Void Fiend, and Bandit. Unlike Void Fields, Captain can use his airstrikes and beacons in the Simulacrum, which is very amazing for him. He's not mobile, but he does have very great DPS. Engineer's character is designed to hold an area he wants to defend, and Simulacrum is pretty much an area you have to defend yourself in, so Huntress is quite an exceptional option for this game mode. Yeah, her DPS may not be the best, but she is quite quick and can kite enemies very easily. Also, she can travel through the Void Fog with ease. Void Fiend is extremely powerful in this game mode for a multitude of reasons. For one, he can heal himself in his regular form, and thus can travel through the fog like it's no problem, until like 30 seconds in the fog. Did I mention that he is also quite mobile as well? Another thing to mention is that his DPS is extremely high when in his corrupted form, and this is especially true when he's in close quarters combat. And hey, guess what? You're always gonna be in close quarters combat in Simulacrum. Finally, he is very versatile when it comes to void items, as he can synergize pretty well with all of them. With 13 void items, he can just heal infinitely in the void. Not to mention with attack speed, you can heal faster so you can survive longer in the void. I could go on about Void Fiend, but those are mainly 3 examples why he's so good in this game mode. Bandit is also pretty good in Simulacrum. His alternate special, Desperado, can reach high stacks in just one stage, since they're gonna be there for quite a long time. The stacks do reset when you enter a new stage, but your stacks can go higher if you get more items. He also has a very great mobility tool with his shift, which he can not only traverse the fog quicker, but he can escape enemies that are about to overwhelm him. Finally, either primaries is very good in short range, and well, you're gonna be in short range combat the whole game. Now I can't exclude every survivor, so what I will do is quickly give their recommended loadouts. Okay, ready? Here we go. Alrighty, now that you saw my recommended items, characters, and loadouts, you're probably asking if there's any general tips for Simulacrum. And well, of course there is. First, and most importantly, do not be greedy and underestimate the fog. The fog is extremely strong, and trying to reach for a chest or a printer outside the safe zone can easily lead to your death without proper healing or mobility items. If you're gonna risk it, take note of the distance and the items you have. And if you have trouble with this, think about it like this. If you think it's too far to reach, then don't go for it. Trust me, I died more times to the fog than enemies in this game mode. Second, be aware of the enemy's items. Remember, enemies do get items every 10 waves, so take note of these items and watch out for them. Now, even if it's something bad like Testicoil or ATG, don't worry, it's not the end of the run. Remember, by the time they get these items, you will be way more powerful than they will. Kill them before they kill you. Third, kite the enemies. I know I sound like a broken record here, but this is especially true for Simulacrum. You have limited space, but a decent amount of space. Try and push enemies through the fog if you can. Fourth, if you're not experienced with the game's mechanics, play on Rainstorm. To be honest, this goes for Risk of Rain 2 in general, but Simulacrum is technically way more difficult than the base game, as enemies have better stats than usual and grant yes gold. Finally, use this game mode to better yourself on this game. Yes, Simulacrum is mostly for fun, and it is way different than the base game. That being said, you should take your time with this game mode to learn how the enemies work and how to properly deal with them. You can also use this game mode to learn how to kite, learn how to deal with situations when the enemies are outscaling you, learn how to fight in close quarters combat, and quite frankly, learn how to play the survivals. With these tips and knowledge on how this game mode works, I'm sure you can get to a high round in this game mode. While your early game may be a bitch, you will be extremely powerful by wave 30-ish. And if you want to provide a challenge for yourself, or just make things easier, artifacts are also available for this game mode. And that's pretty much my guide on Simulacrum. Just have fun and good luck with getting to a high round. If you want to, type in the comments on any tips I missed or experiences you had on Simulacrum. Or you could just comment anything you want. I won't judge. If you want to see more content on Risk of Rain like this, or just Risk of Rain in general, be free to subscribe. Or don't, I'm not your dad. For the people who do subscribe, I just want to let you know that I don't specifically have an uploading schedule. So if you love my content that much, I recommend ringing the bell so you get notifications for when I do upload. Anyways, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.